have you ever felt disadvantaged by your insecurity? I felt very disadvantaged several times where I've realized my inability to feel confident has taken away from this experience. Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital. You know what? Bonga Bueta. I love the show that we have. And I love it especially when, I love all the guests that come, but I love it when we have somebody that's truly just a friend of the show.
Yes.
If you guys don't know, every time we shoot TCC, probably Esmo some way making a guest a cup of tea or something. Hi Esmo, how are you? Asantwa Bwatema Abina Ofori Amamfo. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you? You called me by my name.
You know?
Yes.
And so it's always nice to have somebody in the seat where it's just vibes. So it's shoot day, and to be honest, Esmo wasn't supposed to be on camera, but we're chatting insecurities, and like halfway through the conversation we realized, no. We need to turn on the camera. So Espo then slaps on a bit of glitter on her eyelids and she says, let me get on camera then. And so, just chatting about that. Insecurities. Where do we start? Hi, Bonga. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you. Where do we start?
Where
do we start?
The host should start, no?
I can
You
start.
set the scene.
Ooh. Given mentioned the story. I can start with that story. So Given mentioned the story where... But this story also interrupts.
Insecurity.
Yeah, you see, I just had an insecurity about the story. But basically, somebody said something online, right? Yeah, somebody said something online, and I thought they were talking about my weight, and I kept it for a long time, and then I think at 3-4 months into it, I had taken a screenshot though. I'm like, on the 17th of May,
You said.
And then he went on to explain what he was actually saying. And it made complete sense. I realized how I had read it absolutely wrong. He wasn't even talking about weight. He wasn't even talking about weight. But I had a deep insecurity. Always carried, like we've talked about it in the Chunky Girl episode, like I've always been a chunky girl. And so when I think of insecurity, that's the first one that I would think of. I have many other insecurities. For a long time, I struggled with skin. And you guys have seen, I obsess so much about my skin routine and whatever, because I finally got my skin to like a bearable, place.
A healthy state for you.
A healthy state, even though I've got like a huge pimple here. But anyway.
That's still healthy skin. That's still skin.
But I really struggled to get there. And so I do harbor like a lot of insecurities around skin as well, and this and that. And so, that I remember was like, because I had harbored this thing for like months. And I just took a beat to read and for the first time I read it in the way he was saying it. And I thought about how many things do I do, trying to protect myself from something that actually doesn't exist. There was recently a post on Instagram where the guy like puts up like a cartoon, like just a picture of whatever, draws like a something, like a human, but draws a human and says, guess their insecurity. And then you're supposed to guess it before you slide to the next slide.
Okay.
Then the next slide is, let's say I say their weight.
Yeah.
Next slide is like my forehead. And then another picture, guess their insecurity. Then you're like, it must be their nose. You slide and they're like my ears. And then you realize the ears are big afterwards. Then you go back, you're like, oh, their ears are big. Then the next one, guess their insecurity. And then I think it was about 6 of these, and each one I had gotten wrong. And I shared it, and everybody was like, it's crazy how we're walking around with these things, right?
All
and
the
people,
time.
Actually, they don't look at us and see that. And usually you see an insecurity in someone, like I'll pin weight quickly on someone because that's an insecurity that I... So we usually pin things on people because it's an insecurity that we actually see in ourselves. Right? Right? Yeah. So like there were a lot of things that I was like, all the insecurities it was things that I actually had about myself. Then I was like, and then next slide, no, it wasn't that. It was something else, And I was just like, oh my gosh. We project so much. And just how it can affect our romantic relationships. And sometimes it's not even, I'm rambling now.
I have so many questions for you.
Yeah, you can delve in. I'm rambling now. But another insecurity that I've learned about recently And I think it's because at the beginning of this year, I lost a beautiful gig that I had. I'm a painter. and all of a sudden, like, I have financial insecurities. You know? I'm swiping. No more. Now the budget that I calculate.
Hey, and it's not a swipe.
You know, and then you kill out the humping. Oh, my sister, let's go to China. Yeah. Which flight? When? How? You know, now it's like, wait, Emela October, you know, and then now all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God.
It shakes you.
Oh, I hate this life for myself, you know, and seeing that, oh, there's actually financial insecurities as well, where you don't feel so confident.
See, that's interesting because you've always pointed out in our friendship, I'm financially insecure, or I think I can admit that now because you've told me so many times. I'm like, well, I guess I have to carry the label. But no, I do struggle with financial insecurities, and that I can feel coming from within, but because of comparison. And you were saying something earlier on in terms of your insecurities. I wanted to ask, has anyone ever called you chunky? Has anyone ever said you're a chunky girl? Because you describe yourself that way.
True. I actually don't think so. I can think of one person, but I think that person generally was just a hurtful person.
Okay.
So grasped at any straw. You know when somebody even picks something that you like about yourself and you're like,
Not that.
Now you're just trying to hurt me.
Yeah, because you're right with that question. I would have never said
Yes.
I always say that.
No, I remember after the Chunky Girl episode, no Zizi, I know you watch, and she came to me at the theater. She's like, I feel so betrayed by you.
Why? Because you called yourself chunky?
Yeah, in the Chunky Girl episode that we have with Nunkum. She's like, and then you stand up and you're standing here, and I'm like, this girl, you know. So I do know that it's a people have
relative. Yeah.
Relative. It's always relative.
Yeah.
But since I was a kid, I was always one of the bigger ones in the class.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So I always compare to that standard.
Okay.
You know, that in class, you know, I was always one of the bigger girls in class. I'd never been one of the slimmer, tinier ones. And that's always been my standard. But, you know, yeah.
So let me ask you this. What do you do with your insecurity? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I have insecurities that I've kind of, like, put on as my identity a little bit, saying like, oh, I have this, you know, for example, I have alopecia. So, you know, I've had alopecia for so long that I'm like, oh, it's my alopecia. I have alopecia. But claiming it like it's a part of me. It's like, yes, okay, my hair doesn't grow and then, you know, so I'm wondering how much of that do you, like, how do you work with it? Do you carry your insecurities in terms of, this is just something that I have, or this is how I feel about my body and I carry on? Are you trying to work on it? Or is it something that you, I don't know, maybe don't want to deal with? I don't know if that makes sense.
I like this question because I'm thinking of this exact same thing. I'm thinking to myself, my insecurity is my weight, right? But it's only an insecurity because of people's comments.
So that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yes, not because I'm uncomfortable. And that's why you won't see me trying to work at it. It's because, okay, maybe at some point I'd want to lose some weight, but that's not my focus right now, you know? There's other things I'm focusing on. My weight is not my priority. But without people's comments, I wouldn't have that insecurity. When I go into a space I haven't been in a long time, so let's say a church or wedding where I know I'm going to see people I haven't seen in a long time, it's what people's comments, not me. Yes. So even with the way I dress, I would want to overcompensate to make sure that the outfit is so good that you can't fault me, you know?
But I think that's the difference, maybe the key difference. We both have insecurities around weight, and I use weight loosely.
Yes.
Because I know it's many women, and I know many women will relate to this. I don't think it's my biggest insecurity, actually.
Yes.
But I use the one around weight with me and you. You were skinny at some point.
Yes.
So I can see how people feel entitled to comment. I honestly haven't gotten comments around my weight. That's the truth. And simply because, and when I say comments, I don't mean I haven't gotten them in masses. I can think of isolated one auntie, but not often. And I really know that it's because I've never been slim. But I can imagine with you, Bonga. You know, because I sent pictures on the group of when Bonga used to model. So people always have something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can imagine that's, that creates a different layer.
Yes, because I understand my journey. I like...
And you're comfortable, or you're not uncomfortable to the point that you're trying to do something about it, right? You can maybe notice.
That's why I'm like, when I think of weight loss, I'm doing it. I would be doing it for someone, for other people to stop commenting. I wouldn't do it. I'm not doing it at this stage.
Yes.
I'm not doing it because I want it.
Yes. Yes. I hear you.
For me on my side, so you were saying, wait, mine, I think I have a lot of insecurities, and they can be divided into physical, blah, 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 all of these things. I would say physically, my biggest insecurity has been my alopecia, but more, I think I got to a point where I'm like, this is the way that I look. I know that wigs are available and all of that, but I felt like I was hiding with my wigs, or I wasn't comfortable with what was my reality that I wanted to hide it. Now, in being not wig free, but just rocking my shaved head for years and years now, I find myself like kind of thinking about a wig, but it's coming from two places. It's because sometimes I'm just sick and tired of shaving my head. Like, I just don't want to do it. But then another part of it is I kind of feel like hiding sometimes, because physically, maybe I feel a bit of an insecurity in me. Like, I don't know, just maybe being at the space I am now. I don't know if I'm happy with the way that I look, if there's certain things that I want to be different. And I wonder if hair would add to that. So I've been flirting with the idea of getting a wig. Should I? But, all of that stuff. But one of my biggest things, as much as my alopecia is my insecurity, I'm more afraid of wearing a wig and becoming comfortable with like hiding. Again, that when it's time to, for whatever reason, take off my wig, that I'll feel less than because of the way that I look naturally.
You'll be
So
relying
it's such a tricky thing to
This is really
navigate
interesting,
through.
because when we talked about you starting to wear wigs again, I assumed that it was from, because I know that you didn't wear wigs because you didn't want to hide anymore.
Yes.
I assumed that it was from a place that you're so liberated from the idea that you could find yourself hiding. So that's why I encouraged it, and now I'm feeling bad for encouraging
No,
it.
don't.
Yeah.
I am excited for it, and also like wigs are just wigs. Take it on today, have it on today, not have it on tomorrow, whatever. But I think I've just worked so hard on trying to not sit in back rows, or like trying to avoid lighting or things like that, to really be comfortable with, this is how I look. It's patchy. It's all of these things. I still want to feel attractive and hopefully be like seen or taken in as attractive, but this is the way I look. And it might change things for people, but I know it's a bit tricky now because I am seeing someone. I do have a partner, but I always thought, what if I wear a wig and then I meet someone and he likes me, and then
I take it
I
off.
have to do that thing of taking it off and being like, this is what I look underneath, underneath, It's such a journey. It's such a journey.
It is a journey, friend, because I would also hate to see you at a place where you're dependent on a wig.
Yes.
When you haven't been for so long.
Yay.
And I always say thank you so much to Given, because when we first started TCC, I was like, Filtanyana.
You wanted to
Hashtag filters.
I was like, Filtanyana, mara easy.
You want that Android looking smooth skin.
I beg, and then also with the get ready with me is you show up without makeup. Yes. And I've done so many interviews now without makeup on, and I'm not very dependent on makeup, but somehow you think we're on the internet.
I have to. It's the platform.
It's going to be on the internet,
Yes.
And I'm so grateful for that experience of being thrust into. There's no filters. It is what it is, and I get that when, like, you've seen the worst of me,
And that I have, girl. Just kidding.
But I get that way, like, you've seen me bold, so if you see me with a wig on, it doesn't change that you've seen me, unlike seeing me with a wig first. And now I have to come and be bold. So unlike seeing me with filters, and now I have to come and be my real self. It can be such a damaging experience. But have you ever felt disadvantaged by your insecurity? Not by, as in your state of, I felt very disadvantaged several times where I've realized my inability to feel confident has taken away from this experience.
Ooh.
Do you get what I'm saying? My inability to just be like, I'm Shash girl.
It is what it is. We're rocking.
It is what it is. We're moving. Like it, hate it. We're moving. Has taken away from many experiences. I can even think throughout undergrad, I was so hard on myself. And I don't know what happened there. Because in high school, I think I was too much of a nerd. But somehow in undergrad, I found myself very insecure, where I'd avoid going to bras. And now retrospectively, I'm like, Firstly, I was really hot back then. You know,
Kudos to me.
you know, kudos. When I look at those pictures, I'm like, what were you so insecure about? You know, I can't believe I was so insecure. Of course, maybe not the greatest skin and whatever, but still I was really beautiful, you know? And I just can't believe I spent my early 20s, 21, 22, 23, so insecure. I can't believe it.
You know, you remind me of Bonso Pilani. I think she's a journalist. I don't know if she's still practicing as a journalist. She spoke about how she spent the bulk of her life trying to lose weight. She can not look at any of her pictures and not think how, I was trying to lose weight here. Even I go through that. I'm like, hey, boy, you were so tiny. Why are you not wearing shorts? Why were you not wearing, you know, I didn't have fun with my body. I didn't.
Let me ask you both this then. What, because you're talking about what you've learned, like in retrospect somewhat. So what do you think the Bonga and the Ursula 5-10 years from now is going to be like? Damn, I wish I wasn't so focused on this, that, or the third about whatever the insecurity was. Just like you're saying, looking back, you wish you wore those shorts. So in like kind of 10 years, what's the 10-year older Bonga going to say to this Bonga and be like, girl,
Well,
you should
if
have
we
just
had
done
the
that.
answer to that, Asma, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Ma'am, is this not a conversation?
You're seeking deep wisdom from us. I actually don't know. I actually don't know what it is that I'm going to look back on this day and be like, I wasted time being insecure. I wasted time because I feel like since TCC, I've really like stepped out of my comfort zone for the first time. And I feel like I'm reaping the rewards of doing it, you know? And like, I encourage everybody, like, just do it.
You're so right. Yeah, I've literally turned down, I can't remember, I was in varsity. And then I got an opportunity, like it was an internship interview or something. They sent an assessment. And I'm like, I'm trying to do this assessment. Ilani, a lot of maths, right? And then as I'm doing it, I emailed the person. I'm like, hi, I think I may have I may have chewed more than I can. What is it? What's the
bit more than I can chew?
It's the wine, guys.
Listen, she was going out
you
like
were biting, you were
you were chewing and biting. And
Anyway, I took on more than I thought, and I'm like, I won't come to the interview. What the hell is that?
What the hell is that?
What the hell is that? What if, yes, you did bad in the assessment, but what if they liked you at your interview stage?
I'm learning to never close a door on myself, which is hard to do because I'm very much, I can go down there, but I'm trying to be like, don't close that door of opportunity on yourself. Don't do this, don't do that. So maybe to even answer my own question, I'm wanting to, I go through my bouts of really being insecure about my scalp, and then other days I don't even
care a damn.
I don't care a damn. But I'm trying to live just like it is what it is. You know, there's still nothing that I lack. I can walk, run, jump, see all of these things, which I'm so blessed with. That yes, it would be lovely to have hair. Sometimes I have dreams about hair. Do you know that? It's so weird.
I know that thing when you want it so bad.
I will dream about like an afro. I'll dream about just like simple braids, just braids and the beauty of having braids. I'll dream about those things, but I'm like, I lack nothing. I need to live fully. I think what also brings me a lot of, I wonder if it would be different if I was single, because now that I'm seeing someone and he really feels nothing about my scalp or hair. I feel comfortable with him touching my scalp where, you know, there's a lot of people I don't. So I don't know if it's maybe I feel secure. I feel fine. Like literally what else am I kind of looking for? But I struggled a lot with thinking, am I attractive? You know, I mean, besides all the other insecurities I already have, now there's this thing of me not having hair. Am I ever going to meet someone? Is anyone ever really going to want to date me? Take me home?
Friend, I can even take you back to a moment that you were in your kitchen crying, saying, is anyone going to love me with my alopecia? And I was like, and I remember.
Ooh, why does that make me so emotional?
Sorry.
You know, I cry too easily.
I'm so sorry.
I'm trying to not blink.
I'm so sorry. But I just had a flashback to that moment.
No, but
it was a few years ago, but I remember that moment where it was just like, and I remember you and I having the thing of not negating each other's insecurities once, because I just didn't think her scalp was a big deal. Yeah. And I can't remember whether it was you saying it to me with the chunky or me saying it to you with the alopecia. But one of us were like, dude, it's not such a big deal.
Yeah.
And
I never noticed your insecurities, and you never... I never noticed yours. I think maybe you could have noticed mine, but not in a way that it sits with you.
Yes. And one of us said to the other, imagine I said that about
XYZ.
and then we both had a moment like
who?
oh, this is how deep she feels about it.
Yes.
Because for me, I could have never compared the alopecia thing to like my insecurity. It was like, oh, that's nothing. You look so beautiful without hair. You're gorgeous without it, you know? That's how I would see it.
Can you see my eyes are glossy?
Yeah.
I'm trying to move on.
No, I've stopped. I said, hey, rein it in.
And you know, it's a very difficult one. But also, I never want to take away, like from what Bonga said, there is the insecurities that we put on ourselves, but there are insecurities that other people plant in us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And those are moments of like harshness in life that when I look back, I'm like, I didn't have to go through that. I actually did not have to. Before it was 2020, we started TCC 2021, 2022, ne? It was 2020, and I was dating someone, and I had been invited to go speak at like some Christian TV show thing around Women's Day. And the guy then, as I was getting ready, I was putting on makeup, I was excited and whatever. He said, you know, this is why I don't believe TV. I'm like, why? He's like, who wants to hear what you have to say? The other time we trended on Twitter and we had 5 million views, and a part of me in my heart was like, I guess 5 million people
want to hear what I gotta say.
But you know,
over and over.
do you know that? And I think that's why it took so long for Given to convince me to do the podcast, because that thing lingered. Like, and I remember going onto the show. I still performed quite well. It's me, but.
Hey.
But I remember I carried that with me for a while.
And sometimes you don't realize that you carry it so
that with me.
long.
Even starting our first few episodes, those were the words that were ringing in my head. Who wants to hear what you have to say? Who wants to hear what you have to say? And it was one sentence of a gent that was...
Who's you're no longer
not
with.
even a chapter in my life, a page in my story, a paragraph, a sentence, a word.
Okay.
Barely.
Barely.
You know, but you know, there's a moment where other people really impose something, you know, on you. And when I look back at the whole transferring insecurities and I look at the way that person lives their life, they were literally, I got caught in the crossfire of their own insecurity.
Absolutely.
I see it in him and I'm like, oh,
do you know?
You don't think you have anything valuable to say. And now that became my problem, you know, and now that's my cross to carry.
That goes back to projection. Sorry.
Yeah, and
That's the word I was looking for, yeah.
And yeah, a lot of insecurities have to do with projection. A lot of them. Oh my God, why am I losing my train of thought?
Oh, no, I need.
Hey, I wish everyone could see Obonga's put the wine by her head now. Like, help me think. What was it?
Have you ever felt insecurities have affected you? We've spoken about in the professional space a little bit, but in a romantic sense.
Professional, yes.
Without a doubt, because my current boyfriend is very athletic, right? So we're like total opposites. So sometimes I'm like, maybe I'm not the type of girl he should be with, type of thing. Maybe he should be more with the, you know, the
5 a.m. running club.
that want to climb mountains and hike and all of that. So I think they do affect, but for me, Shem, I've never, like I said, it's mostly when I have to go outside. But with me, I look at myself in the mirror, I'm okay. Like, even intimate-wise, I've never had issues with feeling sexy or anything around that.
I wish.
I wish.
I so wish.
I've really never had issues around that. Yeah, no. Oh, yeah, I remembered my thought. My thought was around the... given.
He disturbed you. What was he thought?
I can
Oh my
segue.
God.
Oh
Okay.
no. I remember now. Why it's so important to realize the people you surround yourself with. And immediately when you hear something wrong, you hear something off, especially directed towards you, run. I remember the time
Run.
I agree with this though.
No, it's true.
Remember,
Run.
you and Nonku said something I didn't know about myself. You guys were like, oh, you're complimenting something, and they're like, oh, it's so neat and so everything's
Dainty.
always in a place, and I'm like, that's so nice to
You
hear.
are very dainty.
You know, and it's you guys were pouring into me, but you didn't know.
You had no
You
idea.
know, you had no idea
Yeah.
you're pouring into me. But there could be girls who are like, why is this? Why is that? You know, you could be around friends like that, and you don't need to do that to yourself.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, surrounding yourself with the right people, premium, but you don't know that when you're younger.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's the lesson as well.
Thank you.
Because I remember I mentioned in the Chucky Girl episode, one of my slimmer friends in varsity saying, looking at a picture, like a very Gossip Girl picture where all the girls were wearing short pants and blazers and they all look cute. Then she says, I wish I was in a clique like this. Then I was like, what do you mean? She's like where we can all wear shorts and we look cute and, you know, all slim.
Yo.
Excuse me.
The silence is deafening in the room.
You know, I mentioned in the episode, but surround yourself around people that want to pour into you and want to celebrate your beautiful things. And I 100% agree with that because, amen, I also need, man, to be, the life is hard already.
I was about to say the
Life is
exact
hard
same
already.
thing.
I think even taking it one step further is absolutely surrounding yourself with, like, I mean, for example, me crying in the kitchen, but if that happened once or however many times around you, but it's happened so many times in private, right? So many times. But it's having a friend or a person in the moment to kind of like, oh, wait, you're saying things that aren't true about yourself. Let me just remind you of who you are. But I think a step further than that, something that I'm trying to do is whether I know you, whether I don't know you, if I feel prompted to say anything, but in kindness, and positivity, I absolutely will. I've started, even if I'm at a stops robot, whatever, and someone's walking past and they look nice, I will tell you look nice.
Oh, I'm that person too.
I will roll
Because
down my
we all
window.
need kindness.
I will tell you.
100%, friend. I am also this
100%.
human. We just need a little bit more love. And if you can extend yourself, even if whatever you notice, nice toenail, give that person their
Earring,
toenail.
something. Do you know how many times I felt kind of walked out into the world feeling insecure about something, and it's very specific, and then someone will be like, wow, I really like you with a shaven head, or I like your shaven head look, and you can rock it so well. Meanwhile, maybe I was crying the night before shaving my head, being like, God, why won't you heal me yet, or whatever. But it's those little prompts where, I mean, I think it
I
more
didn't
leans
know
to
that
God,
about
but
you in terms of alopecia. I really thought also chicha.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Me too. I learned like maybe a few months into our friendship, like a
Sure.
good 6-7 months into our friendship, that you actually had alopecia.
But you see how much then I carry it as my identity.
Yes.
Because you're telling me these things and I'm like, what? Because since day one, there's no space I can be in that I'm not aware of my scalp.
Yes.
There's no space.
As I learned about how deep it, I remember there was, can I share this? We can cut it out if you don't want.
You can,
There was a
I'm
time
chilled.
Bo texted me and she said, Ish, I'm sitting in the middle rows at church and I want to move to the back because I feel like everybody's looking at the
Yo,
back
I
of
couldn't
my
focus.
head.
I couldn't focus. I'm
I
in
feel
church.
like everybody's staring at the back of my head. And I was like, whoa, this is a big deal.
I would only sit in the back row at church because of that.
Yes.
Like, I would think, if I can see the person's head in front of me like that, whoa, imagine what they can see at the back, and just like assessing or whatever. And I'm in church, but I would literally struggle to focus because now I'm thinking of these things, now I'm sweating, now I'm getting like a little bit
And
uncomfortable.
like
I'm
Bonga
not
saying, when
yo.
somebody first meets you, and this is not like an episode, Console Bo episode, but I want to point towards how silly insecurities can be. That's not what people think when they see you. Like the first time I met Bo, I just thought she was a cool girl with this shaven head and, your dramatic earrings all the time. And I just thought she was so cool, And so when I learned about this, I was like, damn. And I
just never
told
know
you,
what someone's carrying.
yes, and I remember telling you, saying that I actually never noticed that you're Bo, but you've made me notice. And that's the thing with like living in an insecurity. People start noticing things about you. My mom always says, Ishla, nobody knows what you're talking about. And you are bringing it to our attention. Now this is all we see when we see
You're
you.
pointing at it.
You constantly, you keep reminding everybody this thing about
And
me,
yourself.
this thing about me. Before you know it, that's all we see.
Mm.
Do you know what? And Giv said it before we started recording, but I would love, truly, truly love to hear from guys or like more on the guy side about truly like what are your insecurities? What do you walk around feeling about like and not in the way that we're talking about, what do you hold about yourself? What do you, the perceptions that you have about yourself? I think it's so easy. We all speak about this easily from a woman's side. But I would love to understand, especially also now having a partner, like, what do you have insecurities? What are you insecure about physically, financially, emotionally, all of these things?
I asked a guy friend this week, I said to him, what are your insecurities? And firstly, I was shook by the self-awareness. He listed like 10 things off the top of his.
Sure. And that he carries.
Yes. And he's a handsome guy. He's like, I'm insecure about the way I look. I'm like, what about it? Then he started pointing out things that I'd never noticed. Right? And then he went on, I can say of the 10 things he listed, 8 of them were around making money and being an influential man and being a man that can step up when my family needs them to, and disappointing my family, my reputation. And I remember the one thing that really stuck with me is like my ability to make money, because I know how much that determines how much of a man I am in society.
Sure.
And so without a shadow of doubt, I think that's men's number one. We all have financial insecurities, but men, I think, really get the
Do you
brunt.
think it's for provision and also flex? Like, there's the flex of, I think
it's
this
society
car.
standards.
Yeah, I think it's
it's
definitely
societal
the fact that men, unfortunately, I'm going to say this loosely, but I obviously don't mean it in such a bad way, but they are reduced to that.
They are.
Can you produce,
Chris Rock
provide or
Yeah.
not?
Yes, Chris Rock says that little 1.5 minute short that goes around from one of his shows where he says only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally.
Yes.
Sure.
And a man is loved for what he can provide.
Yeah.
Right?
And it determines, for a man, it determines your status in every single sphere.
Absolutely.
Friendships.
Yes.
That's why you get your Baba Bita and the Ice Boy.
Yes.
Friendships. Your neighborhood.
Romantic relationships.
Romantic. It determines every single aspect of your life.
I think in society, 2 things carry. With men, it's money. And I always say with women, it's beauty. But I'd even like to take it a step further. I think lately I've been confronted with, it could also be like fertility and femininity.
I was going to say the nurturing.
Yes.
That
The moment a woman
nurturing
doesn't
thing.
have that, or a woman is barren, I think there's a certain element of being a woman that's taken away from you. That you're not really allowed to claim all corners of being a woman.
So as
you haven't walked down that path.
Just to understand, so you're saying we're speaking quite generally now, but as with guys and finances, being able to like provide. So it's as you're saying with women, when you get to that stage or that's wanted in your relationship,
being able to carry, being able to nurture, being able to, being feminine. People talk about being your feminine energy.
You got to give me something to work with to be my feminine energy, okay? I'm currently double dipping here and I don't like it. I want to be soft.
And just seeing how those 2 play out. And I'm glad that I've reached that place where I can see the 2, because I think I've really tried to be, even with a lesson that I've learned, and I've learned it through Given.
Given always teaching
us
us
things.
Given teaches
before, during, and after.
But Given really taught me that like it takes a lot of courage for a man to walk up to you and hit on you.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
I've also learned that from Giv.
ever since then I've handled, because we are taught to be like, shoti, tak. We're taught.
Why you always got to go for the height? Got to hit them hard.
You're taught to do that. And I have learned through Given and through, some of the episodes that we've had to treat that person with the honor and respect that bravery and courage took. For somebody to walk from across the room and say, hi, ma'am, I find you attractive.
It's not easy.
I
I was thinking about this at work, and I was like, but we are so unfair to men, eh? There's
sometimes
a guy,
cruel. Let's call it cruel sometimes.
There's a guy who pursuing me at work, and then to me, it just seems like you're targeting every woman a new woman at this workplace. But I'm like, how do you get to that conclusion, Bonga? What if he genuinely just likes you? Why do you think he approaches every single woman a new woman at that company? And I was like, what's so unfair?
Shame.
I hear you.
We can be a bit cutthroat.
But that one is a tough one, because also the numbers show that
he's kind of on a mission. He's kind of on a... It's like when I used to go to UJ and then walk into Campus Square, then the guys are there, Mariana, Emma, Beyonce. please, like, I know I need to feel good about myself, but I know I don't look like Rihanna.
It's just that men, I think men fall into the trap of doing that. This is my theory. Men fall into the trap of like hitting on every girl so that they desensitize themselves to the rejection. Because you're taught that you're going to get rejected. Yes, there's something there's such a broken experience in that.
Yes.
So when I see a guy that hits on every girl, I don't necessarily get disgusted. I realize that society taught him that, like, buckle down hard.
For me, it feels like you're spraying and praying. You're gonna try and drop it.
See who's gonna
see
say
who catches, see who bites.
You know, and you're just practicing, really. You're just practicing, and then somebody takes you too seriously, and the next thing you find yourself at the altar. How did I get here?
This worked a little bit too well.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, what if someone really saw you and you're the first person they've approached, and now your immediate assumption is
genuinely
that, exactly, and your immediate assumption is that.
But doesn't this go back to like the conflict men and women have in society? We're protecting ourselves from them.
Yes.
They're trying to get a wife or, you know, loneliness and whatever.
It's just, I think it's such an odd thing because I always thought, I'm going to meet someone because it'll be mutual friends and, you know, I'll get to introduce to them that way. I met my partner through Bumble, but it's like, thank goodness when we met, I felt comfortable maybe like 10 minutes after meeting him. But if I was sitting there and someone had to come in, you know, and try and hit on me or whatever, I'm too awkward for that thing. I don't know. So I don't think I'd be hard in rejection or anything, but I don't know. Like I feel sorry for them because it is a hard thing to do. Yes. But at the same time, not everyone's like receptive to, you know, I saw you across the room.
Imagine yourself as a guy and you have no choice.
And you have to. As in,
but how are you going to get a person? Yeah. You're awkward. You have to approach people all the time. But I just like how life works out. You find your person.
True.
Because I know of guys who are not that type, but they'll find their person, you know, and they wouldn't have had to approach them.
Yes.
Unfortunately, maybe it would have been a very long friendship. And they're like, you know what, we like each other. You know, let's date. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But Gavin is absolutely right, Shem. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. I'm also definitely at a place where I try to acknowledge the courage. I even treat them very like, oh, okay, I'm listening to you. But also I found like a tricky spot with regards to where am I now allowing one trial as well. You know what I mean? Finding that balance is where I'm at now. So trying to be very like excessively kind and acknowledging somebody's courage to walk up to you and be like, oh, I think you're beautiful. Can I get to know you? Yeah. And just being kind in your response to them. And then also, but not opening up to things that you're actually just not interested in.
Okay, I understand.
So that's where I've been now. Like, how do you like show kindness, but like, but no thanks.
Yes, kindness with boundaries.
Or like, kindness with but no thanks, you know. And acknowledging that this no thanks might be very harsh for them to take, you know. And so, that's been difficult for me to navigate. That's where I'm at now with regards to, because of people like Given.
Now you have to be considerate.
He's educated us so much that we have no option but now we're educated. Yes. Now we have to act differently. You know, we can't be the same.
Anyway, we've drifted very far from insecurities to this and that. But I think somebody got something somewhere in there because this is definitely something that, for me, it sits with me because I know that insecurities hold people back from creating beautiful relationships. You know, you find even women that like
even with
just
themselves.
Can't be friends with because they're so insecure. You know, you struggle just to be friends with them, and you always think, and how's this person in a relationship? Well, I'm struggling to be friends with them. You know, so I know that there's some women out there that needs to hear it and needs to let it go.
Some liberation in a way.
You need to liberate yourself because it's actually holding you back. And I can honestly say, thank God it's never gotten that bad for me. But there are some people where I'm just like, you need deliverance.
I can't help you.
Yeah, you need deliverance.
It's sad.
And not in a judgy way.
It is sad also because, you know, just being happy with yourself. You know, what about you just going out? But it's hard to say and it's hard to advise to move through it or feel better because everyone has their own journey. But liberate yourselves because dang, no one else is suffering like you're suffering.
And also, there are times I just thought of an instance because a friend of mine mentioned when I was much younger, I mentioned something about their lip. Like their lip. I said, oh, your lip droops or something like that. And I was a kid. I was maybe like a teenager. And she says, I've had an insecurity about my lip ever since.
Wow.
And when she said it, I didn't think her lip grew. I don't know what was going through my mind the day I said it. I don't know, and also there's also that experience where you're the cause of somebody's. Because now we're sitting on this very high, like, people have hurt my feelings.
Yes.
And, but then there's also the other side where somebody brings to your attention that, you've actually been the bad guy in my story.
Ooh, I think.
And this is a good friend of mine who's been a friend of mine for a very long time. Said, no, in high school, you told me that my lip droop, I didn't know. And I said, what? And I couldn't believe that it was me that had said that. And also just going through that
the
thing
impact that it had on them.
And realizing that you're the bad person in somebody else's story as well.
Absolutely. I love that so much because as we grow and we're navigating life, the truth is at some point you are the villain in someone's story.
You see, but that's tricky because it's like your intention wasn't to hurt. It wasn't to make someone insecure. Yes. So I think about how many things have we received where the intention wasn't to hurt or to make insecure. But I mean, I guess we all get scarred and stained in some kind of way. That's just life. But
something else, this is not close to insecurities, but I'm just thinking about how you could take it in that instance. Something happened between me and someone, and I'm like, but we joke about this all the time. I don't get it. And then the person was like, actually, I wasn't okay. So you made that joke when I wasn't okay. Ordinarily, we are joking on this. So I was surprised because I'm like, we always joke about this most. And then the person was like, yeah, you're right. I kind of took things wrong because I was not in an okay state of mind.
That's definitely, I can flip the script on something we've been laughing about the whole week. Get here? I'm that person. Absolutely. So I can relate to that person. I'm like that.
But so insecurities are kind of similar. There are days where you can comment on my weight. And nothing.
You feel nothing.
Yes. Good. There's nothing you can say to me. And then catch me on a bad day. Yeah.
Eish.
So I think that's an
interesting how we spoke a lot about physical insecurities. Didn't really think about the other ones. You mentioned financial. There's also professional, or that confidence
intellect.
Intellectual insecurities.
I can actually
intellectually, I'm
speak about this
insecure.
a lot.
Professionally, right now, where I am with work, I feel insecure. I don't feel confident in what I'm doing, and it shows. That's also another thing. I've always only been used to navigating like physical insecurities, like believe in yourself, love yourself, all of this stuff. Financial insecurities, I see it more as like a tool. Meet with your whoever, your FA, your planning, do your budgets. Professionally, like what do you do when you feel like, wow, I'm really not kind of killing it right now? I'm maybe used to, but now
that is so interesting, Bo, because you've killed it. Bo has Luries. The Lurie Awards.
The awards, yeah.
Every time you do this,
you get
I
embarrassed.
always swear at you.
Okay, I'm sorry. But I find, because we've talked about this one before, and I find it interesting how professional security doesn't stay forever. No. It's not that you won that award once and now forever and ever, because now you're feeling a little bit stagnant in your...
Ooh, I feel like I've fallen from that time of maybe you see your names on lists and things, which is cool, but also what does it really mean going home? But that's a story for another day. Yeah. But you see your name, and as much as I am like, kind of awkward with that attention, at the end of the day, my name was printed somewhere. I can show my parents, I can show,
Absolutely.
So now from that stage that I was in where I never walked around in a pompous way, but I mean, it felt nice, to now where I'm like, yay, do you even know that 1 + 1 = 2, my girl? Or you think it equals 11? I'm just tripping. And it's so hard to find. How do you navigate through that? Do you get mentors? How do you find mentors? Do you...
Yo, Fred, you're bringing
to
up
find a good mentor.
The end.
Sorry.
You're bringing up... Because I'm thinking about it with me, and when somebody says, what's happening with your PhD? I shrivel. I don't know. I'm going through a tough time.
As well, what's your next step?
I have a next step?
I'm trying to wake up to go to work. I want to make it to work on time. What are you talking about next step?
Yes. And people want to speak to you like it's a done deal.
Sure.
Because they know your greatness. They know the Luries.
My gosh. And sometimes I have a gift of the gab, guys. Don't trust this thing that comes out of me.
And then you're like, and we want to remind you, you're golden key. No, you're definitely going to kill PhD. And PhD is killing me. That's what it's doing.
I work in engineering. I've worked in not engineering, manufacturing, which of course has your engineering, production, etc. So the words they use, I'm like, Jesus,
Give me a thesaurus. What's
what-
going on?
what's happening here?
What did that
What am I
word mean?
doing? You know,
Sure.
like I'm like, it's a whole different language, and it was my first company, and now this company. You know,
Do you feel not intellect? Oh, well,
kind
Is
of.
it intellectually or like knowledge insecure? Because isn't intellect and knowledge?
Yeah,
Are they
I think
different
knowledge insecure because I'm smart. That's
Yes,
without a doubt.
intellect is like who you are, and knowledge is what you've acquired.
Yes.
things?
So I will look at this.
insecure.
I will look at these graphs. I will look at. I'm like, what is happening, Jesus? So yeah, these insecurities.
No, we all have that. I can say there's a little professor, I'm in academia, and they're spitting out, physiology and anatomy off the top, and I'm just like, hey, hold on, let me get my textbook. Just hold on.
Oh, I don't even go. I just go, and I'll make a note. Especially, I was in a meeting on Friday. Whatever they were saying certain words. Now, when the abbreviations come out,
Oh
honey,
my God.
expand. So at least I I don't know the expanded version, but I can write it down. Don't just give me abbreviations. La, la,
Even
la.
when people want to delve into statistics, I don't know if you guys have that experience.
Explain more.
Okay,
'cause-
no. So, okay, I'm realizing. Okay, sorry, that's an academic for me.
Okay.
In academia, stats are just thrown around. And
Oh,
you're like,
did you know that
hey,
58.5%
hold on, just wait a minute.
according to Gordon's Institute of Business?
No, and people want to talk about the type of test that was used to calculate that, and you're like, no. For you, it takes you some time. And that insecurity can also be because it also stops you from. Recently, there was a job that I wanted to apply for, but it was qualitative research. I'm more into quantitative research at work. And it, qualitative has different type of stats involved. And then I thought, hey, if I'm struggling with this I've been doing for so long. now I'm close and start
gonna come
learning
see
a
myself.
different type. I said, just hold on, And I found myself shooting myself in the foot. I should have just applied.
Yes,
I
it's
should've
that
just
thing
applied.
we
Don't
spoke
close
about.
the door on yourself.
Yes, I
Don't
remember.
close doors
I
on
remember
yourself.
one of these professors saying to me that I work with. He said, "Ursula, you can't be the applicant and the person that judges the application."
Sure. That's a line.
Yeah, you can't be
That's a
both.
line.
When I just apply, that was
Yeah.
your job. You
Yes.
fulfilled your job, and let the person
And walk away.
do his
Yeah.
part of judging the application. But you can't be both.
Do you know what? You guys really need to focus on something mentorship, because truly, I think in the beginning of my career, there was all this focus on, okay, do you have a mentor, someone to guide you, bring you up, blah, blah, blah. Even now at my age of 31, I still need someone to
I hear this.
guide me. Am I too comfortable where I am? Can someone kind of call me out?
And almost a life
Sure.
mentor, friend.
Yes,
A life
absolutely.
mentor, because I also find myself which career am I pursuing?
Yes.
Which direction am I taking? I know often you've always said the end goal is to own a coffee shop. Yeah, even that. But you know what? I'm just saying,
Yeah.
sometimes
Oh, no,
you'll
but I
find
would
a
love
mentor
a-
specifically in a specific career, and you realize, I might not even stay in this space for too long.
Anything could change.
Anything can change. So sometimes it's even more like life mentorship.
Sure.
Somebody who's just. But that mentorship is.
But not in a way that I want to see your picture, like LinkedIn picture there on on your website. Oh, I can help you with life coaching. And not that. I just want someone who's been a bit further ahead. You don't have to be decades ahead.
Yeah.
And someone to be like, this thing you're worrying about now, I get it.
But
But
it
I
won't
promise you, my dear, in a year's time, this thing is nothing. Or you're sleeping on yourself a bit. Maybe you need to
Yes, you need to
add to this. Yeah.
And this is why we exist in community, because that
True.
is what community
True.
is.
True.
And they say it for every man. Every man needs somebody who's next to him, ahead of him, and behind him.
Yes.
So to pass down knowledge, to look up
Yes.
for knowledge, and then to share the experience that we're both
Yes.
currently in. And that's what you're speaking to. We all need somebody to look up, look down, look
Yes.
sideways. Where it's okay, what's happening? Where am I?
Aspire, relate, teach, or whatever. Yeah. I see that.
I think something else that's quite important to know is that I'm not scared to ask, or I will identify someone that's very good in the workplace, and I'll get myself close to them, ask for the necessary help, and be okay with rejection. Sometimes someone won't want to help you like that. And I'm not saying help me as in progress, but I see, okay, you're an engineer, you have a really good understanding of these things. Please teach me, or what would you suggest I learn, blah, blah, blah. It's open. Just, I think your mentors are around you. It's just you seeking and not thinking a mentor-mentee relationship has to be long-term or has to be a particular decision. It can be ongoing. Or timeless. Like, I need you for this particular phase. I'm done.
Yes. Like, I also had somebody who was like a life coach of mine, and I can see how I couldn't possibly have them now. I've grown past that point.
Yes.
You know, but they were necessary for that time of my life, not necessarily now. Yeah. But I hear you, mentorship is something maybe to have a whole different discussion on.
It is such a different topic, but
such a big
we
one.
said it early on. I was like, I must remember this, you know.
But if you're insecure about something, kick that nonsense to the curb. It
liberate
is holding
yourself.
you back. And I say this speaking to myself as well.
Me too.
And speaking to all the TCC viewers, men, women, child, kid, loved ones, this and that. Please make sure you kick that to the curb. That was today. Can I round off?
I think so.
Are we done? We can round off now.
Is that a cat?
That was today's episode of the Conversation Capital. Goodbye and God.